This is the Mets Postcast, your instant game reaction for the New York Mets. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
The Mets offense continues to lead the way as they've taken the first two of this series from the Detroit Tigers. Welcome into the Mets Postcast here live on the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, the Locked On Mets podcast feed. I'm your Postcast host, Chris Schubert, here with you after each and every Mets game throughout the course of the season. Things going well for the Mets in Detroit for the second straight night, double-digit runs, 17 hits for this team. The main story, the lead story right now for this ball club is how good this offense is performing. It is championship caliber. It is the best offense in baseball right now, and so that's where we'll open up tonight's postcast.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I mean, what more can you say right now? The Mets offense is leading the charge. We will talk about the starting pitching tonight and maybe the starting pitching in general. With that being up in the air, other than when Nolan McLean and or Jonah Tong start, the Mets have needed their offense to carry them. And boy, is the Mets offense not just carrying them, but the Mets offense is making a statement. And they are making a statement that they are no longer in the malaise that they were in post-All-Star break. That month of July feels like forever ago for what this team is doing right now. You look at any metric that you want since August 1st, this is the best offense in baseball. WRC plus, the Mets lead the way. By the way, not including tonight's numbers. So it's not including the 17 hits, not including Pete Alonso's 2 home runs, not including Juan Soto's big night at the plate. This just runs up until yesterday. In WRC plus, they were in front with a WRC plus of 143. When it comes to home runs, only the Yankees have hit more home runs than the Mets in that time frame. RBIs, the Mets leading the way there. Batting average, second to only Milwaukee. On base, the Mets are number one there. Slugging, the Mets number one there as well. This is an offense that right now, I know what we watched in July. I know what we watched to start the season in the case of Juan Soto, what we watched for 2 months with Francisco Lindor. I get all of that. But this is a what have you done for me lately conversation. The New York Mets have a championship caliber offense. This offense right now can win a World Series. This offense right now can steal a playoff series if the pitching is just so-so. This offense that we've seen, not just for the last 2 days, but for the last now over a month, is the type of offense that can carry a baseball team. And so that's why you get excited on they can just get a little bit better starting pitching. They can just find a little bit more consistency outside of Nolan McLean. This could be a team that works its way back into the conversation as a NL title contender and a team that can go on and win a World Series. What were our criticisms of this team earlier in the year? This team can't hit. This team can't hit with runners in scoring position. This team can't get the big knock when it matters. They're getting the big knock over and over and over again. Let's see what the final numbers were for tonight's game. I'll pull them up right now. Team 5 for 11 with runners in scoring position, and they've been great in the second half. They went from being one of the worst teams when it came to hitting with runners in scoring position to now all of a sudden being the best. You want to talk about individual numbers? Shout out to the Mets Analytics Twitter account on social media for providing these numbers that I'm going to cite here. But Juan Soto increased his OPS to 923. Pete Alonso up to 867. The march to 900 is on for him. Jeff McNeil up to an 809 OPS. Brendan Nimmo approaching at 800 OPS. 790 after tonight. Brett Beatty closing in on a 760 OPS season. Mark Vientos has his OPS all the way up to 730. Think about that sentence perhaps 2 months ago when talking about Mark Vientos. They are just getting contributions everywhere. But let's talk about the one guy that is giving them the most contributions. The guy who hit his 37th home run tonight. The guy that entered play today, 8th in the NL in F4, 5th in Baseball Reference WAR, tied for 2nd in WRC+, 2nd in OPS+, 1st in Offensive WAR, 4th in OPS, 2nd in offensive rating, 3rd in home runs, added another one tonight, 4th in RBIs, added a couple more tonight, 1st in walks, 2nd in runs, 6th in steals, added another one of those tonight. Shout out to Just Mets for putting those numbers together this morning. Those are the numbers for Juan Soto in the National League this year. So I'm going to come out and say it. I know the talk has started to generate here recently. Juan Soto firmly belongs in the MVP conversation in the National League with numbers like this. This is somebody that deserves consideration. Will he win it? Probably not. Kind of a too little too late with the years that Ohtani and Schwarber have had. But he is getting hot at the right time for this baseball club, and he is carrying them on his back. I mean, he is just doing things. He's going to have a 30 stolen base season. Ryan posted it on social media earlier today. He thinks a 40-40 season is certainly in play for Juan Soto. I mean, he's stealing bases basically every time he's on first. Juan Soto had a game in which he had a walk and hit a home run, the 117th time that he's done that in his career before the age of 27. The Mets offense is a juggernaut right now, cannot be stopped. And the guy at the center of it is the guy that was paid $765 million to be one thing, the centerpiece of this offense. And he is doing that right now and leading the way. And it's just been absolutely incredible to see this offense come to life. And really, honestly, the exciting thing about it is this is what this is supposed to look like. When spring training arrived and Juan Soto showed up to camp and Pete was brought back and Mark Vientos showed up after the year that he had last year and Brandon Nimmo was still here and Francisco Lindor was around, you looked at this Mets lineup and you wondered, anybody going to be able to keep up with them scoring runs? And you knew that it's baseball. They're going to go through their stretches, but you just looked at the talent on paper and you thought to yourself, man, at the end of the year, you're going to look up. This is going to be one of the best offensive teams in baseball. And there were moments throughout the course of this season where I don't know if we thought that was going to be the case, but with the way that they're playing right now, as the calendar has flipped to September, they're going to be there at the end. They're going to have those numbers at the end of the season that will make us just kind of shake our heads and go, yeah, that's the team that this offense was supposed to be all season. So 17 hits tonight, 12 runs. Soto hits a home run. Pete adds a couple of home runs himself. He wants to make sure that he doesn't get forgotten about. I mean, Luis Torrens, are you kidding me? Another 3-run home run from Luis Torrens? That's all this guy does is hit 3-run home runs for this squad as of late. He's been awesome in the wake of Francisco Alvarez's injury. They're just clicking on all cylinders. McNeil with a multi-hit night. I mean, the Mets offense, again, like I said, championship caliber. And the guys that you want to be at the center of it, Soto and Alonso, have firmly been at the center of it here so far. So it has just been so much fun to watch this team be able to operate offensively the way that they have here so far this season. We got to talk about Nolan McLean. We'll talk about the good and the bad from his performance. We'll also tell you the stuff to keep an eye on from this game as well. And we'll get to it all here on the other side. This episode brought to you by Prize Picks, the daily fantasy app where making the right call can actually pay off. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right means cashing in. With football back, Prize Picks is the simplest and fastest way to get in on the action. All you got to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player projections, and you can turn your takes into real prizes, all in less than 60 seconds. Quick, easy, and honestly, my favorite way to follow along with football season. You can check projections like Josh Allen, more or less 270 passing yards, Saquon Barkley, more or less than 1 rushing touchdown. This week's max discounts, how about Dak Prescott, 0.5 passing yards, Lamar Jackson, 0.5 passing yards. You can download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 one. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. The NFL season almost here. FanDuel making sure you're ready to kick off with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. FanDuel fits however you like to bet. Player props, building that same game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Makes every game more exciting. Whether you're watching your team, maybe you're getting ready for the Jets and the Giants on Sunday, or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. Quick, easy, and the best way to add a little more energy to your Sundays. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Are you still paying full price for gas? I just filled up this morning during my commute to work. Stop leaving money behind. Get real cash back every time you fill up with the free Upside app. Simply download the free Upside app in the App Store or Google Play Store right now and start earning cash at the pump today. Use the limited time promo code SEASON and you're going to get an extra 25-cent back per gallon on your first fill up. You can make up to $300 a year just from buying the gas you already needed. At first, I thought it was too good to be true, but totally legit. Real people are getting paid just to make their daily commutes, and you can too. Plus, cash out anytime. Bank account, PayPal, e-gift card to Amazon and other brands. Don't let this offer drive on by. Download the free Upside app now using the limited time promo code SEASON. Limited time 25-cent per gallon bonus. Promo code SEASON. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions. Back here on the Mets Postcast, the Locked On Mets YouTube channel, Locked On Mets podcast feed. Appreciate you joining us here, recapping a 12-5 Mets win. Another win for this team when they scored double-digit runs, 22 runs over the first two games of this series. Playing a really good Tigers team, leading their division. Best record in the American League. Mets are making it look easy the last couple, especially tonight, but offensively, making it look easy against this team the last couple of days. Let's talk about Nolan McLean, who had a rough first inning, gave up the 2 runs, and had those couple of walks, ended up with 3 walks in total, but finished retiring the last 14 Tigers that he faced, finished the night with 7 strikeouts, and just an impressive performance for Nolan McLean. And the reason why I think this is impressive is because he showed his toughness. It's kind of been easy for Nolan so far up here at the big league level. Those first 3 starts, he's made it look easy, right? He's kind of dominated the 3 teams that he's faced. Seattle looked great in his debut, went down to Atlanta, looked great there, really made the Phillies look silly in that start back a week ago in Citi Field. This one faced a little bit of adversity, got punched in the mouth a little bit early. His command on his breaking stuff was not sharp, didn't have the bite, right? Couldn't really get those pitches to land in the spots that he wanted to make those Tigers batters want to get them to swing and generate those whiffs. So he was walking guys, gave up some hits when he was trying to put the sinker in the zone, and he struggled, faced some adversity, but battled back and dominated. And to me, that is the most important part because that's the type of character that a pitcher is going to have if he's going to make a start here in the postseason for this team. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, I feel comfortable saying this right now with the state of the Mets rotation, looking at each individual pitcher for this team right now, that's your game 1 starter. Your game 1 starter right now is Nolan McLean. Gave up only 2 runs tonight, walked 3, struck out 7, hit that little blip early, battled back, dominated, retired the last 14 batters to go along with the dominating performances that he had in the 3 starts prior. He is right now the Mets' best pitcher. I know David Peterson has been doing it for longer, right? I know Clay Holmes had a great first half to the year, but right now, we're just talking about this with the offense in the last segment. What have you done for me lately? And what Nolan McLean has done for the Mets lately is be their most dominant starter and stuff plays in the postseason. And he's also been the most consistent starter since he's been called up. Look back from when Nolan McLean was called up against Seattle and compare what he has done each turn through to every other starter in that rotation. It is not even close. That is the game 1 starter for this team. There's no doubt about it that if the Mets started a playoff series right now, Nolan McLean needs to be the game 1 starter. And I love the adversity tonight. I love him showing the toughness. I love how angry he looked, upset at himself for giving up those couple of runs. But again, locked back in, settled down, and finished the evening with 7 strikeouts, retiring the last 14 batters that he faced. Other stuff to keep an eye on. Juan Soto approaching a 30-30 season, maybe even a 40-40 season. Tyrone Taylor on the IL, so expect to see a lot of Cedric Mullins here. Perhaps maybe some Jeff McNeil in center field, and their way of getting, Beatty and Vientos regular everyday playing time as well with the way that they're hitting. Just a couple of the things coming out of this game. They did have to use Ryan Stanek in this one because Kevin Herget couldn't finish the job, but avoided using any of the high leverage arms, so saving them for tomorrow in the series finale. And so just all in all, despite that 9th inning getting a little weird and the Tigers scoring a couple of runs, overall a good night for the New York Mets. Love to hear from you on this. Jay says, Chris, do you think all 3 kids starting in the postseason? I think 2. And I am as much as I want Brendan Sproat up here, and I think it's well past time for Brendan Sproat to be up here, I can't honestly say that I think all three kids will be starting in the postseason when Brendan Sproat hasn't even made his major league debut yet. It's easy for me to say Nolan McLean should be the game one starter. He's been great over his first four starts. It's easy for me to say Jonah Tong should probably also be in the mix because he looked really solid. That stuff played very nicely in his first start. And we're going to get to see a handful of starts here in September to be able to make that judgment. I just can't go there with Sproat because he's not up here yet. And it doesn't feel like they're jonesing to do it. Although if they're evaluating this rotation the way that they say that they are, turn by turn, Clay Holmes is up tomorrow. He's going to have to do his part, or else I could see this team moving him to the bullpen, just like I can see them moving Sean Manaea to the bullpen and making way for Tyler McGill, who had a rehab start tonight, and for Brendan Sproat, who gave the team 7 scoreless his last time out. Max says, I want to add something. Since there was no postgame yesterday, Ryan Stanek being on this team right now will drive me crazy. He is a slightly better position player that doesn't play a position. I think that when we get to the postseason and the postseason roster is put together, that Stanek won't be on it. Just a guess on my part. I don't think Stanek will be on the roster. Just a guess on my part. I think they're going to carry the 5 starters for the wild card round, and a couple of them are going to be in the bullpen. They could move Sproat up and have him there in either the rotation or in the bullpen. You saw it last year. They added Max Kranick to the postseason roster when he hadn't thrown a single inning at the minor league, at the big league level for the team last year. So they could very easily do it again. I think by the time we get to the end of the year and a postseason roster has to get put together, I don't expect Ryan Stanek on there, but we've got a whole month before that. And Max says, I will lose my mind if I don't see Sproat up here. I'm with you. I'm in the same camp. I want to see Brendan Sproat here yesterday. But I just, until I see the notification come across my timeline that the Mets are making a roster move and they're calling up Brendan Sproat, I'm just going to assume they're trying to hold on here a little bit to not call up all 3 kids and put all that pressure on those 3 guys. Because let's face it, right now, those are the 2 kids up here right now are the only 2 starters that I think any of us have confidence in, especially Nolan McLean. And tomorrow is Clay Holmes' turn to prove that he belongs in the rotation. And if we're going to take the Mets at face value, they are evaluating this turn by turn. If he struggles, I think they'll have a conversation just like they are about Kodai Senga, just like they are about Sean Manaea, about whether or not these guys should be in the rotation moving forward. You know who definitely should be in the rotation moving forward? Nolan McLean's been absolutely excellent here since coming up to the big league level in his 4 starts. The Mets continue to crush the baseball. 22 runs over their last 2 games. They take the first 2 of this series from the Detroit Tigers. They will go for the sweep tomorrow. Juan Soto firmly putting himself in the MVP conversation. The Mets offense since the beginning of August been the best in all of baseball. It makes it a little bit easier to deal with all of these pitching concerns when you have an offense that's able to do this. If the offense was going through it, only able maybe to get 3 or 4 runs every night, and we were dealing with these pitching issues, it would be a very different tone here, I think, on the postcast. But with the way the offense is chugging along right now, a little bit more wiggle room, some more margin for error for the Mets to try to figure this out. But I do not think they are going to be able to continue to trot out Clay Holmes, Sean Manaea, and Kodai Senga, and even to a certain extent David Peterson right now, when you have Sproat, when you have McGill, when you have options that are there ready to potentially help this team out here in September. The Mets go for the sweep tomorrow. Clay Holmes on the mound as the Mets look to start this road trip off perfect, 3-0 by going into Detroit and taking all 3 from the Tigers. Until then, have a good one, Mets fans.